we recommend using a headphone for our podcast. We also recommend you turn off the light in your room and be alone. It will give you the best experience through the paranormal universe. In 1982, the Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital was established, outside Gyeonggi-do, South Korea, by Mr. Hong. The original building was just over 11,000 square meters, and spread across 3 floors. Sometime during the early 1990s, an additional 2 buildings were added, which increased the size by another 500 square meters. A short time later, in July 1996, the hospital closed, and was left abandoned and unmaintained for over 2 decades. Nefarious rumors began to spread about the hospital's closure, and ghost hunters and urban explorers began flocking to the spooky site in droves. Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital quickly gained a reputation as one of the top 3 haunted buildings in South Korea. But until an article was published by CNN in 2012, featuring Gonjiam as one of the world's most terrifying locations, the hospital had mostly maintained its ghostly reputation domestically. Sources discussing the history of Gonjiam and the fate of the hospital aren't incredibly common on the English side of the internet, so the majority of research for this story was done using Korean sources. However, specific dates and versions of stories and events vary so much from source to source that it's worth taking some information with a grain of salt. Enjoy Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital for the creepy legacy it left behind, but don't consider it a perfect reflection of the history of psychiatric hospitals in South Korea. It helps that the entire building looks like a living, breathing haunted insane asylum trope: collapsed ceilings, long echoing corridors, doors that shut on their own, and patient rooms littered with old mattresses and forgotten personal items. From the outside, the main building is a concrete block, with a zigzagging exterior staircase, and windowless black holes, peering into the eerie interior. The building just looks haunted. And what do creepy abandoned buildings need? A ghost story, of course. And it didn't take long for one to begin making the rounds. According to legend, many patients at Gonjiam died mysteriously, forcing the hospital to shut down permanently. Some believe the murders were being committed by the hospital owner, who was accused of keeping the patients hostage. It's said that the owner fled to America after the victims' families and government authorities began investigating the unexplained deaths. Another story says Gonjiam's doctors and director were driven to madness while working alongside the mentally ill patients, which led the director to end his own life. Some believe his suicide was caused by a ghost who possessed his body and drove him to the brink of insanity. And the many other ghosts that haunt Gonjiam's abandoned halls are the victims of the psychotic doctors and murderous owner. While the hospital is closed for the living, the former patients of Gonjiam are trapped forever in the place where they met their gruesome end. A great ghost story, but is it based in any truth? The hospital director didn't commit suicide, nor was Gonjiam closed due to the mistreatment or murder of patients. Business at Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital actually came to an end because of finances, not mad doctors. With the implementation of the Water Source Protection Act in South Korea, a new sewage treatment facility became a sudden, legal requirement for the hospital. This caused a disagreement between the owner and the director over whether or not it was worth the financial strain to install a new treatment facility. While talks were ongoing in 1997, the elderly owner passed away, and a new treatment facility was never installed, so the hospital remained closed. When the former owner's son took over the property, he neglected to maintain it and the hospital fell into disrepair. As for the former hospital's director, he was alive and well at the closing of Gonjiam, and allegedly opened another psychiatric hospital in the province of Gangwon-do, east of Seoul. Essentially, nothing about the legend surrounding Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital is actually true. And a lot of the rumors seemed to come from a South Korean television show called Solve with the Logic of P. Lee Young-dan, which had an episode featuring the reported hauntings at Gonjiam. When a building looks as creepy as Gonjiam Psychiatric Hospital, it's no wonder we let our imaginations run away from us. But for those who live locally, the real horrors of Gonjiam had a more earthly source. Thank you for watching. We upload new episodes every other day. Subscribe to join the haunted journey.